It's time to dive into our next keynote. And this next keynote, we have a lot to be thankful to. Why? Because घर में टिंडा भिंडी करेला बनता है, तो हम लोग क्या करते हैं आजकल? What do we do? Well, our next keynote speaker brings us the respite from our mom's tinda, bhindi, karela and the never-ending list, because this person is swiggying through change, navigating changing consumer behavior, from revolutionizing food delivery to redefining convenience. Today, he will explore the journey of adapting, innovating, and leading through change in a dynamic, ever-shifting market. So are you all ready for the insights? Fresh food in how many minutes? 10 minutes. So let's call Mr. Rohit Kapoor, Chief Executive Officer of Swiggy, with this slogan, fresh food in 10. Can you all repeat? Okay. So what we'll do is I'll say fresh food in and I want every one of you to say 10. Are you all ready? Yes. So fresh food in. One more time. Fresh food in. Excellent. Excellent. So this is Mr. Rohit Kapoor for your big round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you. নমস্কার। আমি কলকাতার ছেলে, বাংলা খুব ভালো বলতে পারি। অনেকদিন প্র্যাকটিস নেই, কিন্তু এখনো ভাষায় অতটা টান নেই। রাইট, একটু প্র্যাকটিস হলে আপনি বুঝতে পারবেন আমি বাঙালি কি নয়। So, Atulji, like fantastic listening to you. I was listening to you for the last 15-20 minutes. I find it fascinating discussing work-life balance in Kolkata. You are pushing on an open door. It's like teaching the French how to live 40-hour work weeks. But another very interesting story, I got my first job at an Aptech center in Kolkata run by Prashant in 1995. But Prashant, being the Jugadu entrepreneur he is, it was not a software job. I got a sales job at Aptech. I joined Lily Ranbaxy as a medical representative at the age of 21 because he wanted to show that we can place people. And I was the first placement he made, if I remember correctly, right? Yeah. But that was the start of my career, honestly, right? So my career started at Aptech, and it's just providence. I'm following you up on stage next. Aptech has very deep memories. I think we opened the center. The center opened in '93, and I was there 2 years, learning DOS and all kinds of things which seem very weird at this point in time, right? But let me talk about, I have about 40 minutes with me. What I'm not going to talk about, let me clear that out of the way so that expectations are clear. I'm not going to talk about AI because I'm still learning, I don't fully understand it. So I'm not in a position to talk about AI, right? Although we use it, right? I'm not going to talk about technology. I'm not going to talk about funding, etc., etc. I'm going to go deep into only one topic and semi-deep on the other topic. The one topic I want to go deep in is, I do believe as a company, we are probably deep into understanding consumer trends in India. I think it's just our good fortune we happen to be in categories which are such high frequency. And as I keep saying it, from Antilla to Dharavi, everyone uses that, right? So it is quite amazing that we are not a mass company, actually. You go to Sobo, you go to Kolaba, you have people buying us. You go to New Alipur, you have people buying us. You're in Alipur, you're buying us. You're in, Tangra, you have customers. So we get to see a spectrum of consumer behavior, which is quite extraordinary. And for me, I think that is one privilege I have because I'm very curious about consumer trends. I've always been insanely curious, and this is an opportunity which just landed right at the crossroads of what I love and what can have impact. So if you ask me how Swiggy started, it's a fascinating story, so I'll give it out for like a minute or two. And it is also amazing how small things can lead to large things. And we are just a 10-year-old company. We were born 10 years back. We just entered the large caps listing in India. And I always keep reminding inside the company that we are not 10 years old. We are just 10 years old, if you know what I mean, right? Don't think of us as because my worst fear is that we start imagining us as a large company. That is my nightmare. People ask me, what are you worried about? I say the day my people start thinking we're a large company is my worst fear. Because it started so small. The two Bits Pilani guys, Harsha and Nandan Reddy, in fact, two of the most understated entrepreneurs in India. Many of you would not even know their names, because that's how they are operated, right? In a world where everybody is out there like talking about from Trump to everything on a daily basis, you won't hear these two gentlemen, right? And I think Nandi was, Sagar has heard it before. Sagar is a very dear partner. He just walked in. So Nandi was very, he's a foodie and he's lazy, right? Being lazy is very powerful if you're smart, right? If you're not smart, it's not so powerful, but if you're powerful, because then you will find ways to reduce effort on everything. So this is back in the day, about 10 years back, when if you ordered food in those days, one thing you will call the restaurant and the restaurant will tell you, ladka nikal gaya hai. You remember those days? And you have no idea वो लड़का था क्या, वो खाना लेके निकला है या अभी आप पहुंचा नहीं है रेस्टोरेंट में, या it's a mythical character who actually doesn't exist on. So you have no idea. You call again, say हाँ सर लड़का निकल गया पहुंचने वाला होगा, and you have no idea कि where. So he wanted to develop simply a track screen, saying लड़का निकल गया है और पहुंच गया है, वो मेरे को दिखना चाहिए एक मैप पे. And Google Maps had come in by then, right? It was a very, very simple idea. They went to Kormangla, is where they used to live, and they went to multiple restaurants and said, just give us your menus, we'll put it online, and we'll track this ladka for you. It wasn't even decided by then that we'll do full stack, which is we'll own the entire experience, right? And predictably, they were shooed away. People said, just go away, this doesn't work. The second restaurant they went to is a very large chain in Bangalore. Today, we do more business online for them than their entire offline business. And they have a very large offline presence, right? So then what they decided to do, being entrepreneurs, they said, अच्छा, nobody is listening to us. They even went and said, commission नहीं लेंगे, आप दे दो. उसमें भी नहीं दिया किसी ने. So they said, okay, they just put photographs of menus and put it on the app, and Flipkart was just taking off. So when you say product market fit, no, the first thing they got was Flipkart suddenly, they got 30, 40 orders. And this was a momentum thing. So they went to restaurant and said, look, we have 40 orders, boss. Like we don't even have something proper going on. And so 1 or 2 restaurants participated, and today we have 3,25,000 restaurants on the platform. It started from there, right, in 10 years. So those who are curious always find a way. And things start small, but if you have a large outcome vision, and then I think they quickly realized that there were many, many consumers like them who were frustrated by the experience. And they took a bet on full stack delivery. In fact, it was not a global copy. There were 3 companies worldwide at the same point in time thinking that it should be a full stack delivery. There was one in the US, one in China, and one was Swiggy, right? But let me talk about consumer trends, because that's what fascinates me the most. Our business is not a tech business. Tech is an enabler. We have a fantastic tech team. We have 1,000, 1,500 people working on tech. I do believe we are on the cutting edge of technology as far as India is concerned, right? And the app and the experience will arguably stack up to any global standard today. But that's, in my mind, the easy part. Our business is being shaped by only 2 things. And we have 3 businesses, large businesses, which is food delivery, quick commerce, and dine out, right? All 3 are being shaped by only 2 trends. One is, how are the kitchens of India changing, right? And second is, what is the role of women in society? Now, you may ask me, like, how can such large outcomes be had from just going deep on 2 trends? So let me take the second one first, the role of women in society. My parents live in Kolkata. They are like 10 minutes away from here. My mom is 85. I still go, she'll still insist on making that aloo paratha or something for me. And if I say, this is the best I have ever had, her day is made. That's all I need to please her, is to praise the food she made. This was true when she was 40. This is true when she's 85. Her identity was linked to being the provider of her family. And no judgment, that is what it was. The kitchen was her domain, right? My daughter's 13, just turned 13. She's an international level golfer. For her, a visit to a kitchen is like a visit to a museum. अच्छा इसमें ये होता है अच्छा ये माइक्रोवेव इसमें क्या होता है अच्छा okay. I don't think she'll ever cook because her identity has no linkage to providing anything for anybody, right? And India lies somewhere in between the spectrum, wildly surprising us on how things are changing so fast in some areas and so slowly in some areas, but one thing is 100% sure, it is changing. So let me give you the spectrums and these will be contrasts just to, and everything else will lie on the spectrum. Let me take Bangalore, which I consider as a city which is closest to where people have started living, like they are in Singapore, Hong Kong, US, etc., etc. There are households which are typically double income, one dog households, right? Not having kids is a fundamental decision many are taking. And one thing we don't do as a company, I don't do as a person, is judge anyone. My job is not to judge. Your life is your life, right? I have to figure out a wedge to be relevant to you, that's all. Right? I am not a moral science teacher, right? I have no view on such topics. Right? But their life, the double income, one dog life, we are showing up at their doorsteps 4 times a day, 8 times a day, right? We are their Ramu. And Ramus are hard to manage. We are not. We don't say बारिश हो रही थी आज ये हो गया वो हो गया nothing. We show up, right? So we are experiencing their life where they've outsourced the kitchen completely to us, right? For them, cooking is an activity, a fun activity on Sunday. आज पास्ता बनाएंगे दोनों मिलके. वो पास्ता कैसे बनेगा? पास्ता भी सेमी बॉइल्ड आ जाए तो अच्छा है, सब्जी कटी हुई आ जाए तो अच्छा है, सॉस बनी हुई हो तो अच्छा है, उसको तीन को मिक्स करके फिर इंस्टाग्राम पे डालेंगे सेइंग वंडरफुल पास्ता, हैड अ ग्रेट टाइम मेकिंग इट टुडे, राइट? It's become a hobby. So that's one end of the spectrum, and please understand this is happening at a very fast pace in many metros in India, where they have outsourced their life completely. Not because of anything else. A, they can afford it, and B, they have better things to do, in their opinion. They'll play pickleball, they'll have a hobby, they'll fight with each other, whatever they want to do, right? On the other hand, if I go to Jhansi, or take any small town, Jhansi is just an example, things are changing, but things are changing with a lot of what I call ijjat. There's no yanking happening at the tradition. There is very slow permissibility creeping in. So how does it work? There the identity is still attached to the kitchen a little bit, but disintegrating in small ways. So we'll never go there and say, बाहर से खाना order कर लो. So say, आज कुछ घर से, कुछ बाहर से. मेहमान आ रहे हैं, पनीर बाहर से, रोटी घर में बना लेना. आज बर्थडे है, केक बाहर से मंगा लो. It is small acts of permissibility happening with the older couple and violent acts of disagreement happening with the younger folks. They are violently rejecting the tinda and the lauki. Right? And they say, आज फिर ये बनाया है, मैं order कर रहा हूँ. Right? So it's changing, but it's changing at a slow pace, and India lies somewhere along the spectrum all the way. And I can give you, so let me give you some fun examples. So Karwa Chauth, very North Indian festival. It is very much like Punjab, Haryana, Rajasthan, that belt, right? It was unknown in the south, unknown in the east. Some pockets of west, depending on who stayed there, happened. And it's gone through its own sine curve of being whether it's a good festival, bad festival, is it patriarchal, etc., etc., right? It has had its own burn the bra movement, right? But it's fascinating when I find women in Calcutta do Karwa Chauth who are Bengali. Where did that start? In Maharashtra, in South. And if you talk to those women, the men must in this room, please don't overestimate your importance in their lives, right? They don't care about you that much, right? That they started doing all this, right? They like the fact of dressing up in the evening, looking through the channi and having a good time. So this Karwa Chauth, we put large channis in condominiums with Instamart branding. Right? So, but the role of men on Karwa Chauth is changing. So like there's some extreme individuals who say, "Main bhi fast karunga." This is like their moment to like make up for all the sins they had, right? Saying, "मैं तुम्हारे साथ हूँ, आज मैं सुबह से कुछ नहीं खाऊंगा." Those are extreme, but somewhere not the norm, right? But if your mother is standing next to you, you will softly say, "आज बाहर खाने चलते हैं," because the mom will immediately say, "बेटा मैं करती थी, मेरे को तो कभी नहीं बोला," right? आज बीबी आ गई हो तो तुम लोग बाहर घर पे खाना नहीं बनेगा, right? This is a jibe we have all faced, so it's not new, right? Whereas, if it openly, so what we find is the moment the chand comes out, our fleets are ready because half an hour later the orders spike. It is bizarre. So we actually watch the moon movement as much as the women do. I'm not kidding. We have a war room running where people are saying nikla nahi, nikla, nikla nahi, nikla, like, but these are all men largely who are trying to figure out ki orders ka spike karega. Right? The other trend which I'm seeing is India is actually becoming far more integrated than politics will like you to believe. Right? 3 trends there. One, the Punjabification of India is complete. Karan Johar has done his job. Right? I think in South, the only way you felt close to Punjab was in Hyderabad. Right? Where I call the Gulds the Punjabis of the South. Right? But it is becoming all pervasive. So that's one trend. The second is, Balram Malik had Modak in Ganapati. Where did that come from? I grew up here in the city. I had no idea what a Modak is. Till I went to Bombay and Modak was Ganapati, very much Maharashtra, parts of South Karnataka. Right? That's where Ganapati is very popularly celebrated. You get Modak in Gurgaon. You get, Sadhya in Gurgaon during Onam. Last 3 years only, I'd never seen this before. During Onam, you'll get newspaper inserts saying Sadhya meal, because Sadhya is not usually made, so but some joints will start making it. This is truly the Instagram effect. Nothing else is happening. But people are willing, because look, I think people especially who have come into a bit of money, right, are every day looking for, aaj naya kya karenge? What to do new? I think that's a huge business creator. So the Sadhya, which is the tradition in Kerala, is the Naya in Gurgaon. Right? What is a peasant activity which was started with eating on a pattal, which actually in Bengali marriages also sit down used to happen, now it's no longer that prevalent, is now become the high-end activity. Saying, like higher-end restaurants will serve you on a pattal, which was actually used to happen in Kerala, roadside joints and dhabas. So second trend is this, that India is experimenting, India is becoming far more united in its food consumption habits and trends. It is not diverging actually. It is all converging towards Ludhiana and Chandigarh in a big way. From a cultural standpoint. Right? And again, no judgment. I have no judgment on this. Frankly, this is what I see happening. Third thing is that the Gen Alpha, and technical definition of alpha is those who were born after 2010 or 11, something like that, right? And the younger, because Gen Z is a very wide term, it's actually a very abused term. Frankly, Gen Z can mean somebody who's 38 and somebody who's 17. and both are not same. They are completely different people, right? So whenever you use the term Gen Z, be responsible a little bit. This is not like you're doing yourself a disservice by thinking there's some one type of individual in there, right? But let me talk about the 12 to 18, because if people ask me that, how do I think of creating a business which is going to be very valuable 10 years from now? And I have a simple answer. Follow the people who are going to be spending 10 years from now and who'll have the wallet. Who are those people? Those people are 12 to 18 of today. Those will be 25 and 28 10 years later. And what they do will drive large outcomes for your business. Simple. You can complicate it, but it's not true. जिसके पास पैसा होता है उसी से business में कुछ ले पाएंगे ना. So their language needs a new dictionary, first of all. So for example, okay, fun quiz. What is the term they use for a person they like a lot? Pookie. You'll not get this one. I'm telling you. I can spell out 20 of these. You'll fail on each one of these, right? Right? But this is like skibidi. What is skibidi? Do you know? Skibidi is exaggeration for anything. This is very skibidi. That is very skibidi, right? So it is a new dictionary, right? I have a daughter who's 13, and because of my own curiosity, I just take them friends out for dinner, saying, you have dinner, I get taught. No, I do that very frequently, right? Because there's no other way. They will not tell you if you ask them. You have to observe them, what they're doing. Second is they're 100% digital born generation. They don't know offline. They're 100% digital. That's the first generation which is discovering offline through online. People discovered online through offline. कि brand पहले पता चला फिर देखा उसकी website है, ये app है. These people say अच्छा इसका भी दुकान है. Right? Third is they are already familiar with global brands. Like Adriana Grande perfumes. We went to the US, my daughter walked in and asked for Adriana Grande perfume. I said, how do you even know this exists? He says, of course I know. The YouTube channels, there's Instagram, we discuss this all the time. I'm telling you, the largest opportunity sitting with someone today is to go to Korea and get the top 5 cosmetic brands into India. Because these kids already know those brands. You have zero marketing for them. They're looking for them. So they are 100% digital. Third thing is, they are really entitled. And again, entitlement is very good for businesses. It's bad for the parents. Like some things which are very bad are very good for business. For example, very bad traffic is very good for us. It's when I wear my social hat, I will want to do something for the traffic. But bad traffic means you want to go out less for simple tasks. If you want to go out less for simple tasks, you will call us. We'll come because we know how to navigate bad traffic. You don't. Right? So some things which are worsening trends are actually business opportunities. So here the entitlement is a social problem which is of different nature. But the fact is that they are going to not save in a way that we ever saved. That is 100% clear to me. And that is not going to change. That income saving consumption ratios that we keep talking about are absolutely getting distorted at that end. Why don't we see this in the data? If you study national statistics, you will not see it. Why? They are not even in the income generating segment today. But there's a tsunami of these people going to come in the next 7 to 8 years who are going to dominate the middle funnel of income generation. Is their behavior to save? Zero. Absolutely not. They'll leverage to spend if they need that to happen. Again, Punjabification is complete. In Delhi, I know people who absolutely live beyond their means through any which way. Because signaling is so important. In Calcutta, in Bombay, that doesn't happen. Right? In fact, there's reverse snobbery here. Saying, देखो हम तो कितना पैसा है हमारे पास अभी भी हम रबड़ का चप्पल पहन के घूमता है ना? आप कैसे दोस्त होंगे ना? Right? पर वो रबड़ के चप्पल क्यों पहन रहे हो मेरे को आइडिया नहीं है, बट ठीक है पहन रहे हो, कोई बात नहीं, अच्छी बात है, योर चॉइस. राइट. सो नाउ लेट मी टॉक अबाउट द किचन, बिकॉज आई एम जस्ट कॉन्शियस ऑफ टाइम, आई कैन गो ऑन फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम. So the kitchen, 3 trends I'm seeing already. One is, again, if you want to watch trends happening which India will follow, go to Bangalore. That will show you the microcosm of what India will be like 5 years later. Very simple. Don't need to overcomplicate it. Right? Already in developer apartments, kitchens are shrinking in size because there's no use for that place anymore. If you're going to make one pasta a week, how much space do you need? Right? Which is very opposite to when we make our homes, we want a large kitchen. Because that's a dream of every middle class woman. Saying, हमारा kitchen एक दिन अपना apartment से बड़ा होगा. Right? And then you can't find enough maids to manage it, that's a separate story, but that's okay. Second is, so one thing is anybody into fridge manufacturing who's making large fridges today should seriously rethink about the aesthetics of the fridge. Because large fridges will be an act of vanity, not of any use. Right? There's nothing to store. We are there. We'll get everything to you in 10 minutes. What do you need to store? There are ads, newspaper ads saying Swiggy, Instamart, Blinkit, Zepto available in the locality. It comes in newspapers. I'm not kidding. You can see it in Bangalore. You'll have like a real estate ad. We'll have at the bottom. Right? So kitchens are changing dramatically, and this started with the whole 10-minute story. So the 10-minute story is fascinating in India. We started it 4 years back, and we stumbled upon it. We didn't want to do quick deliveries, but we stumbled upon it. Because we thought that getting people faster groceries and top-ups, actually we started not even wanting to do groceries. We wanted to be the chips and coke supplier in top-up occasions. That's how it started, right? Then we just saw data and saying any delivery which is happening faster, because faster could not be because somebody is driving faster, because the store was next door, right? We saw conversions just going through the roof. कि आप अगर किसी को 7-8 मिनट कुछ पहुंचा दे रहे हो, तो वो 5 बार ऑर्डर कर रहा है, right? So something was happening. I think quick commerce came out of there. We don't judge, so we observe the data, we observe trends, and we build a business. But 10 minutes, a lot of people, LinkedIn पे आज भी जाओ तो कोई ना कोई पूछता है कि 10 मिनट क्यों चाहिए? वो लास्ट आदमी बचेगा जो पूछता रहेगा, दुनिया पूरी इंडिया खरीद रही है 10 मिनट में. Now I have no logical view to express to you that why that is such a necessity, but I have a small insight I can share. It is because people have completely segregated the act of discovery and transaction. Discovery is taking much longer than it used to, because there's so many channels to discover. So earlier, you will want to buy let's say, a white good, okay? You will walk into a store and say, भैया अच्छा क्या चल रहा है, किसका performance अच्छा है, आप बता दो. Or you will ask somebody who's using it and say, अच्छा, you're using this brand, is it good? Today, people will spend time on YouTube. People will ask their friend. People will want to see reviews on X website. But once they've decided, that act of discovery is becoming much longer, multi-channel. But once they've decided and they have the money, what is the value add to waiting? Nothing. I'm telling you, cars will get sold on quick commerce in 3 years' time. You'll buy cars. It doesn't sound plausible now, it'll happen. And India is a unique market where simply because of 2 reasons quick commerce works, which is density and labor cost. Which is the only other market which works is China, which has exactly the 2 same characteristics. Anywhere else doesn't work, like Indonesia doesn't work. Indonesia doesn't have density. Indonesian population divided into 60 or some 160 islands. So then I can go. But coming back, the kitchen, one thing is their stock up is disappearing. The monthly grocery shopping. And it happens every time technology takes over. Remember the days you go to a branch bank and take out 25,000 rupees, 40,000 rupees for mahine ka kharcha? What happened when ATMs came? You no longer did that. You said, जब जरूरत होगी जाके निकाल लेंगे 2,000, 5,000, 3,000. We'll spend the cash. Exactly the same thing happening where monthly grocery shopping is disappearing as an activity. Right? When you break up things into smaller expenses, you'll spend more, but you'll feel less taxed. It is fascinating how consumers behave. So महीने में अगर आप 6,000 रुपये एक बार दोगे ना, आपको दर्द ज़्यादा होगा. अब 8,000 रुपये 20 बार दोगे, दर्द कम होगा. There's no logic to this. But that's how we think. That's how we behave. That's why subscriptions don't work in India. Right? People hate tying themselves up to a pre-committed monetary outcome. Subscriptions don't work in India for some reason. Right? Everybody tries it, doesn't work. Broadly, it doesn't work. The second is how it is impacting lives in families, and that's where, let me take the woman, let's say the woman, the man, and the children, and the children could be any age. For the women, truly, I think lot of things are becoming not a matter of obligation anymore, but choice. And there's a very fundamental difference how human beings feel when they have an obligation to fulfill and a choice to be had. Cooking is becoming a choice. Grocery buying is becoming a choice. Right? And that is what they always wanted. To imagine that a woman wanted to spend her time in the kitchen is just our assumption. It was not true. They had no choice. Today they have a choice. Right? I think this particular trend of women having a choice in how they want to spend their time, what they want to do, is fundamentally being supported by us, and I'm very curious about this trend. So whenever I ask people, I said, tell me 3 things you feel you don't want to do, but you're still doing it. Because I know out of those 3, 1 will be a business opportunity for me. मेरा काम ही आपको convenience देना है. Whatever is inconvenient for you, I want to solve. But the men have a very fascinating connection to the kitchen and everything, right? So kitchen broadly doesn't belong to you. You always enter the kitchen with some trepidation. कि कुछ गड़बड़ हो जाएगी मेरे से, right? The fridge and the freezer certainly does not belong to you. If you thought you want to keep their ice for the whiskey, no chance. You'll have gobi put in there. You'll have last year ka almonds. You'll have kaju. Everything except the ice cube. And those who have experienced this, when you are in the evening, make a plan suddenly, 7 o'clock, think, चल तेरे घर पे बैठ के बैठते हैं. You smile, but one part of your head is really troubled. So you walk in with 5 friends unannounced, and then there'll be a smile welcoming them, but when they leave, there'll be a conversation. And that conversation won't be a pleasant one. It'll be like, तुमको क्या लगता है हम इसलिए बैठे हुए हैं? हमारे पास कोई काम नहीं है. तुम बिना बताए लेके चले आओगे दोस्तों को घर. So we are liberating them completely. You get ice cubes in 10 minutes. You get chakna, right? You get everything except the alcohol. In Calcutta, actually, you get alcohol also because we deliver, right? Because license is available here, right? So now you can come in and say, हमको बस बैठते हैं, कुछ नहीं. You go and do whatever you want. Please come and sit with us for some time. You don't need to do anything, right? Men after men have told us that this has liberated them to socialize and entertain a lot more. With the children and the mother, we are solving the tense equation on what they should be eating and what they want to eat. Right? So fundamentally, children have a very, very different view. Children, I mean a broad spectrum up to like mid-20s maybe, on what they want to consume. And the mothers don't let them. Typically the mothers, right? So now I think it is becoming very common. And look, there could be a social angle saying families which dine together on one table, right? Actually happier families. But ये last time तो movies में ही देखा था ना. कितने घरों में ये practically हो पाता है आजकल? मूवी में दिखता है ना कि वो सब बैठे हैं एक साथ, फिर वो मैंने लास्ट टाइम किसी की फैमिली में रोज होते हुए तो देखा ही नहीं था, ओकेशंस पे होता है. किसी का बर्थडे तो इट विल हैपन, समथिंग विल हैपन. इट इज नॉट अ डेली एक्टिविटी बिकॉज लाइव्स आर डिसजॉइंटेड. somebody is coming at 7, somebody is coming at 9, somebody is going out to party, right? I don't know if, please meet me anywhere else who successfully managed this model of families dining together every day at the same time, sitting in like Karan Johar style, right? So what is happening is, now the tension happens saying, तुम्हारे लिए 9:30 बजे तक वेट करेगा क्या हम किचन में? हाँ? कोई काम नहीं है हमको, राइट? मत वेट करो, मंगा लेगा. So what I think there's a lot of friction being solved, and we want to learn about more friction. क्योंकि आपके फ्रिक्शन में मेरा धंधा है. है कि नहीं? So I will probably 5-10 minutes I'll reserve for questions. But overall, I think we are blessed. In 10 years, we have been able to create 2 large categories. Many companies in their lifetime don't get the opportunity, right? But it comes from because a lot of you run businesses, let me distill it and why this happens. Why are we reasonably good, I'll say, at spotting consumer trends and making something out of it, right? It is all what you top-down want to be in the company, right? First of all, our founders are very consumer backward. Everything else is truly, like best way to understand whether a company is consumer focused or not is when it comes to critical conflicting decisions, which stakeholder do you bat for the most, right? Otherwise you can say, I want to be everything for everybody, right? You need to be. I think that is very clear from day one, saying we are a very consumer-led company, right? What does that mean? It means the following. One, you could be anybody in the company. You could be the legal head, you could be the finance head. If you don't have a minimum amount of passion for serving consumers well and intimacy, Swiggy is a very hard place to work. You'll not enjoy it. Because even while doing a tough finance conversation cost, somebody will ask you saying कि consumer पे क्या impact है? And if you don't have that answer, it won't be appreciated. Right? So that's, I think, top-down culturally went. Second is, we are not interested in the big picture as much we are interested in the detail. Because see, big picture is very overrated. Like, people somehow idolize these leaders who have big picture thinking. But big picture, मतलब सुनने में अच्छा लगता है. We believe I am absolutely interested in the smallest detail about